Get Safe Online, a non-profit organization in the UK, is launching campaigns to get the Commonwealth safe online. The campaign spans 12 Commonwealth countries, Barbados being among them, with the first campaign headlined Live Safe Online, which started in April 2020. And here with us is Peter Davies. Peter is the global ambassador for Get Safe Online. Peter represents Get Safe Online outside the UK and is here to tell us more about Get Safe Online in a general sense and the Get Safe Online Caribbean campaign. Once again, Mr. Davies, it's great to be with you.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. Thank you for giving me the time and giving me the chance to talk about our work.
Absolutely. So, can you give our listeners a general idea of your extensive experience in terms of the public safety organizations you have worked in partnership with and what role you played?
Yeah, for sure. As you probably tell from my accent, I'm from the UK, and my background in the UK was in security. The main thing was I spent 31 years in the police service in the UK. And frankly, anybody who spent that long didn't start doing online safety because there was no such thing. But if, like me and many, many other people around the world, including members of Barbados Police, if you spend your life trying to make people safe, and you've been doing it for a few years, you realize that increasingly keeping people safe online is just as important as keeping them safe offline. So I started working with Get Safe Online back in 2017. And that was out of a belief that we had that the kind of services that we've offered in the UK for many, many years would benefit other parts of the world as well. So around the world, I've worked with all the large service providers, but also extensively with government and security and police forces. Specifically in the Caribbean and Barbados, our main partners are the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Smart Technology, and they've been great partners of ours ever since before April 2019, when we started doing our work in Barbados. So I shan't bore you with my very long career, but I ended up doing this kind of work because I've always been committed to making people safe. And like I said, you can't do that anymore without making people safe online as well.
Very true. So, Mr. Davies, who are the most vulnerable online and why? And what
Well,
platforms Get Safe Online will offer assistance or support to for Barbados's most vulnerable?
well, thanks for asking. When we started doing this work, we were keen to ask every country this question, because while a lot of the threats are the same around the world, and one of the things about the internet is it crosses over international boundaries without a blink, in every country things are a little bit different. So the most vulnerable, we think, in Barbados, and that's what we're told, are two groups. One is children and young people who have fantastic access to this new world of information and maybe a little bit too confident at times in their ability to handle it. But there are lots of threats out there for children, young people, and because of that confidence and that massive access they've got, that makes them vulnerable. The other group that we're most concerned about I probably put myself in this category actually, seniors, people who grew up without the internet and actually are missing out. We don't want to frighten people off the internet. We believe it has a huge amount to offer in Barbados and everywhere else. But for the older generation, perhaps not so used to operating in a digital way, we're concerned that they have enough confidence to go online, but of course are as aware of the risks and pitfalls as they are through experience in every other part of life. But the other thing I would say is there's nobody who isn't vulnerable. Even the smartest people get caught out by scams. These days, with the global pandemic and the restrictions that some people are living under, more and more people are spending more and more time online, whether it's to keep themselves amused or to study or to do work. And so there really isn't anybody in Barbados who is not vulnerable.
Okay. So describe to us how Barbadians put themselves at risk when it comes to things like cybersecurity and child protection and human trafficking.
Sure. Well, there are bluntly a lot of different ways, and I will do my best to summarize. And I know we haven't got that much time. And as I say, I'm grateful to you for giving me a few minutes. But what's really important for your listeners to realize is that if they are concerned about this, and they probably should be, is my advice, then nobody can give them the whole story in 2 minutes on the radio. And so it's really important that people realize they have this resource, especially for them in Barbados. Or if they go online, they just put getsafeonline.bb in there, and the whole story is there for them. So it's hard to be succinct, and I don't want to belittle the importance of so many different dimensions by skating over it. People really should go to our website to check it out. But here's a few pointers. The first thing is, bluntly, people who aren't skilled with this, who need to learn. And anybody over a certain age or who hasn't grown up with the internet really may be a little bit unwilling to learn, and a little bit concerned about, almost embarrassed, because in every other aspect of life they've got it covered. This is one area where it's more difficult. And we see this in the dynamics between parents and children, where often the children are far more savvy and almost speak a different language when it comes to what they do online. And I've met a lot of parents in Barbados and elsewhere who feel like they don't know how to engage with their kids. All I would say is be a good parent, talk to them about this, step into their shoes, learn the world they're living in, and have faith in your basic instincts and in the knowledge you built up as a parent about how to protect people and the advice you should give them. Specifically around child protection, children love to explore the internet, they love to socialize, they love to meet people. Unfortunately, not everybody they meet is who they say they are. Unfortunately, not everybody they meet has good intent. And so children in particular should be guarded and careful about what information they give out about themselves online, and should just take precautions about not engaging with people they don't know. There are other risks such as human trafficking, and people might wonder what that's got to do with online activity.
Mm-hmm.
In essence, that's about deceiving people into thinking they're going to get something that they're not. We talk a lot about romance fraud. Unfortunately, there's a fair bit of this where people think they might be meeting somebody online, like the look or like the sound of them, and up to a certain point where it's all online, everything looks great. Unfortunately, experience has been that when it gets down to reality, not all of these things turn out to be what they seem to be. Sometimes people aren't who they are, who they set themselves up to be, and they may do this for a number of different reasons. Some people do it just to mess people about. Some people do it for money, and at the worst end of this, some people do this to actually get people involved in being exploited more seriously. So there are so many ways at which people can put themselves at risk. And our advice is not to be put off, not to be frightened, but to be aware and to have the same caution about engaging with online life as they do in engaging in offline life.
Very good. So tell us about the Get Safe Online Ambassador Scheme launched locally. Yeah. How do listeners get involved?
Well, this is fantastic. This is we've been operating in Barbados since April 2019 and building contacts before that. This year, we've introduced this new scheme. And this is basically an opportunity for you and for your listeners to get involved in what we're doing. Because the best social interactions, the best interactions happen face to face. We know that technology means that you and I can speak like this, even though we're thousands of miles away. These days, so much happens online, video calls and so on. But actually, there's nothing like reaching people face to face. And what we realize we need is people in Barbados to help protect their communities, help look after their children and young people, help to protect anybody who's vulnerable by getting involved. And so the kind of people we're looking for don't have to be the world's greatest cybersecurity expert. They don't have to be somebody with superb presentational skills. We can teach people what they need to know. We can give them resources. What we're looking for is people who care enough about online safety to want to do something about it on a voluntary basis, and people who have a real passion for making their communities safe, whether it's a church community, a local community, a community of children and young people that particularly concerns them. And all they have to do to find out more is to contact us. I can't make our email address any shorter, but if they go to our website, they'll see what we're talking about, or they can just email us on ambassador@getsafeonline.org. That's ambassador@getsafeonline.org. So to any of your listeners, if you're listening to me talking, you think, well, I quite fancy doing that, but I'm not sure what it involves, just send us an email at ambassador@getsafeonline.org. We'll tell you more. If it's for you, we shall welcome you with open arms. If it's not, we'll still be glad to have had contact with you.
Wonderful. GetSafe Online has also been successfully launched in 12 Caribbean countries with partnerships with various governments and groups. Can you share what countries benefit from the GetSafe Online and the exposure you have initiated successfully in other islands?
Yeah. Thanks for that. And again, I'm at risk of overstaying my welcome because there's so much to talk about. We've been in 12 Caribbean countries, all the Caribbean countries that are part of the Commonwealth of Nations, since April 2019. We've had a fantastic time. Unfortunately, we've not spent all our time out there, much as many of my colleagues would have loved to. But through good partnerships locally and working with the right people in country, we've achieved a lot. We've reached getting on for 1 million people through visits to our 12 different websites. We've reached a lot more people through some of the publicity campaigns, and a couple of our experts have had the privilege of actually talking face to face with about 500 people across those countries by doing workshops. And we're just starting to recruit these new ambassadors. We've now got 57 around the world. We've got a couple in Barbados, but we would love some more. And so that engagement keeps on going. We've broadened out because not only are we in all those countries, and I'll tell you, Antigua and Barbuda, Bahamas, of course, Barbados, Belize, Dominica, Grenada, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Trinidad and Tobago. This year, because of the great reception we had in the Caribbean, we've actually expanded in the Pacific, and also we've started to work in Africa, in Rwanda as well. There's so much I could say and there isn't time. The one other thing I would say is a couple of weeks ago, we had a global event. We celebrated all these countries being involved. We had a 24-hour non-stop cyber safety event. Barbados had its hour for that, as did all the other countries. And so the level of engagement is just getting bigger and bigger and better. But it all started in the Caribbean, and there's nowhere where we spent more time actually than in Barbados itself. So we feel like we're on a roll. We're absolutely enjoying it. And what's most rewarding is that we get the feedback from people in Barbados and the rest of the Caribbean that what we're doing is worthwhile and achieves that objective that I mentioned right at the start of this interview.
Absolutely wonderful. So once again, for the benefit of our listeners wanting more information on GetSafe Online, where can they do so?
Okay. Yeah. Please commit this to memory, everybody. All the information you need about staying safe online, free, impartial, comprehensive, whether you're interested in yourself or a business that you're running or working with, getsafeonline.bb. It's a Barbados website. It's for you. Getsafeonline.bb. If you want to be an ambassador, just drop us an email, ambassador@getsafeonline.org. And we hope you'll visit us. We'd love to hear from you, and we want to be there for you as long as we possibly can be.
Okay, so thank you, Mr. Davies, for coming today and telling us a bit more about your campaign, Get Safe Online. As we all know, in these times, especially in this age of the pandemic, where we all have been required to increase our online activity to some degree, the need for increased security is even more urgent and relevant. So thank you once again, and wishing you good luck and great success with your campaign.
Thank you, Michael. Many thanks for your time. Thank you to all your listeners. Visit us, talk to us. We're here for you. Many thanks.
Thank you.